Hello, everyone. Thank you for the overwhelming response and the praises which I got from social media, from my friends, my family, and all the people who have supported me for all these years and still supporting me up and looking towards me to inspire them, to help them. And so I took it as a responsibility to just do one thing. To make a video, and though I was getting many responses to talk about my strategies in mains in anthropology and other areas, so I just thought to give uh, one thing in which I could explain what major I did. This is to tell that this was the tweet from where I got viral and I got the overwhelming response. And so uh, thank you so much for these. I have got a score of 793 in this time mains, and it has been a rise of around 83 marks compared to my last mains. And majorly in this, I have seen a rise of 55 marks in my optional. Last time I got around 253 in anthropology, and this time I have got a 307. In the optional paper 1, I have seen the major rise from 120 to 169. While in optional paper 2, there is also a rise of 5 to 7 marks. I have got 138, and this is it. In anthropology, score of 307 and 169 in paper 1 and 138 in optional paper 2. So people ask me what I did that I saw this rise coming in my optional paper. So I just thought to make one broad video in which I will be talking about the broad points. You can also execute, and it will work for you. So firstly, you have to read basic notes. You have to make basic notes. It can be from some institute. It can be from some reference materials, depending upon whether you are going for what. I have made my notes from various sources, from certain books, because I have been associated with this option for so long. So I made it from I read some reference books. I made search note, so these search notes, and I read few other sources also. So depending upon the time you have, you can go for the material, but you have to be and use the optimum time you have. So don't just dwell too deep into one thing. You have to complete the whole optional in the time available. So what next is the key that made the real difference are these points. Firstly, I added certain current material in my paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 2 usually people add related to tribes, but in paper 1 also you have scope where you can relate it to the current happenings, whether it is from newspaper, whether it is from certain telegram channels or certain magazines. You have to try to see the interlinkages of your optional anthropology with the current material. So this was the one step. Next, you will use the thinkers, use more of thinkers in your answers, use more of diagrams, case studies. These all you do, and you should do. Then the next step was that you have to use your GS knowledge, whether it is ethics, security angle, disaster angle, geography, or polity, governance. You have to try to see the interlinkages which anthropology has with these even. Okay? So you should not just seclude the anthropology and these GS subjects. You have to see it in interrelation. And when you're writing the exam, you don't have to just think that this is optional paper 1, this is the syllabus. You have to relate it with the optional paper 2 also, and you have to work towards it so that the interlinkages come. Then another thing that you should have the precise notes, your own notes, and you have made a big notes, and from that you make a precise notes which you can revise in the last 5 days, which are between the GS and the optional paper. So this is another step. And one difference, another which I found this time working upon, and which would have worked, is that there is a difference in the answer writing technique for the 20 markers, 15 markers, and the 10 marker. In the 10 markers, you have to write it in 2 pages. You have to be very precise. In the 20 marker, they expect you to elaborate more, to just add more emotions and add more feelings towards it, in the sense that the case study should be properly described, that it should be properly referred. So this was their expectations from 20 markers, and there are different expectations from 15 and 10 markers. So these should be identified. Then along with it, you have to identify the scoring areas, that where you have edge, where you can write more of relevant things, where you have more of sources available, where you have more of committees. So these questions should be identified properly in the exams, because there are 2 compulsory questions, but you have choices in the 3 questions, and those 3 questions will make a lot of difference. Last time when I got low marks in paper 1 optional, so I was knowing that I have chosen one wrong question, and that would have impacted 10 to 15 marks. And you should, so that is the key, that you can just one small mistake and you can just lose certain marks. So you should, whenever you start the paper, you should just identify the proper scoring areas, and the out of those 5 questions, you just identify the 3 you are going to write. And in that, the 20 marker is also very crucial. You should focus that 20 marker, you should be knowing in depth and in quality, because you have to write 4 pages related to it. Then the one critical aspect is that you analyze the last previous year 4 to 5 years questions, and you write those questions, you get them evaluated. Then depending upon the areas which every person has their own specific weaknesses, you identify those weaknesses, you work over them, you just try to plug them as much as possible. Though I'm standing here, I'm getting 307, I won't be saying that I was at the perfection stage, but I was aiming for the perfection, and it naturally came. So you should try to focus for the to get to the at max best level you can. And then execution of those things on the final day is one of the critical aspects. You have read from so many sources, you made the current affairs, you made the precise notes, you wrote the answers in the test series or at your home, or you analyzed the previous year questions, you went for it. But on that day, you should be calm and composed, and you should be confident of your own strategy. Every person has their own strategy. Some are good in biological parts, some are good in archaeology. So you should be identifying the questions where you are good at. So after identifying those questions, you should try to execute it in well. Everyone has the 3 hours. Everyone has know that there is a specific limit. All attempt the questions, and usually all those who are getting the ranks and those who are not getting, they are mostly attempting all the questions. So this attemptation doesn't matter. How much you are able to give justice to the question, and how much you are able to write specific to the question. For example, they are asking you about Indus Valley civilization and their features, and you are writing in a different context, you are not able to explain the thing, so that will surely impact your marks. So you should stick to the question, demand of the question, because they just want that. So you should stick to it, you should write it. Structure, you must all be knowing that there is a body, that there is an introduction, you write irrelevant to the current affairs, then there is a body, you write the pros, and you write the challenges, then there comes the way forward way. And in every question, I always followed these 3 structures. And in the way forward approach also, you should try to focus that it should be optimistic, it should be forward looking, it should be related to subcommittee recommendations. So thinkers, scholars, committees recommendations, current affairs, and makes it authentic. You write, everybody writes for the 3 hours, but where the difference might come are these areas. So you should try to focus that you are able to do as much as possible. Though I have got this much marks, and I would honestly saying that I didn't expected this much of rise, though I expected a certain rise for sure, because you get a feel that how much you have wrote, because I was having my reference, because I have written in the previous attempt also. So I was having my reference with respect to it, and whether I am writing in the institutes also, or in some test series also, you get some feel that I am able to do justice to the question or not. So try to justify the question, try to pick the right type of questions. And this is on the final days you must execute. And at home, you should try to make your notes, to read a good reference materials, to correlate it, revise it as much as you can. You have time. People say how much times I should revise. So how much you are able, how much time you have, depending upon that you will be able to revise. And don't take over stress that I have to revise at least 6 times, or you should revise it for certain times for sure. But it will all depend how much time you have, and how much time you have to give to the GS also, and to the other essay also. So every paper is crucial. optional is very crucial, but along with you have to balance it with the GS and the essay, and that will be your own strategy. So this is all I would say the things majorly which made the difference and which led to the rise: identifying my own weaknesses, identifying the paper in which I got the low marks in the last attempt, then identifying the areas where I could fetch now more, because you have to rise, so you have to find your own weaknesses. Everyone has their own. People can't follow my strategy and just get the good marks. They have to follow their own instincts, their own identifications of the problems, and then work over them and try to maximize the marks. And few optionals work for certain people, few optional don't work. So you should be always be conscious that you are taking this optional, you will be comfortable. Why I took it and why it worked for me, that I was always comfortable with the syllabus, and I was always comfortable reading it more and more and trying to improve it more and more. I never felt like, and the questions which used to come, I saw the previous years, I saw the syllabus, and it appeared to me that I would be fine with it, so I went for it, and it worked at the end for me, that I got this much of good marks, the grace of God. Though I haven't got selected, but still it's been good that I have got being able to do the justice to my optional which I took. So this was the thing which I wanted to tell related to the optional to the people, that because I was getting various messages, and I consider it as my own responsibility to just tell the things which would have worked and which you can think could work for you. But everyone should make their own path, should believe in their own self, and this is just take it like a exam only, and there is a life beyond it, and you should always be ready for it, and you should always be confident, you should always be smiling, keeping the reasoning at par, and you should be gratitude, you should have the gratitude for whatever God has given you. And this is all I want to say, and I wish you would be able to learn few things from it, and it would be helpful for you in your examination. So thank you so much. हो गया कर दो बंद